Hey. So, this episode is Nobody Elected Elon Musk. And so, for those of you who've been paying attention since Donald Trump has been elected president, especially you MAGA people, you get what you pay for, right? In this case, yeah, even you all are expressing buyer's remorse on this one. So, right now, and probably for the foreseeable future until this thing is resolved, if we can get it resolved, because the Republicans, or should I say Donald Trump, controls all levels of government. He has the presidency, he has the House of Representatives, and he also has the Senate. So Republicans, aka Donald Trump, really controls all levels of power, or should I say levers of power in the government of the United States. And so Elon Musk, right now, there are protests taking place in Washington, D.C. right now because it's kind of hard to explain what his role is, but it says here, and I check my sources, everybody. That's what I do. And by the way, for those of you who listen to me on the radio, the hundreds of thousands of you who listen to me on my radio show, welcome. Video, social media platform like this is new to me. So those of you who are joining me for my radio show, thank you. And for those of you who are finding me for the very first time, welcome. So, Money Watch, Elon Musk's access to Treasury payment systems is raising alarms. Here's what to know. So, for each and every one of you, whether you are a Trump supporter, mega Republican, independent Democrat, you don't vote, you don't care, but you found this live right here. Yep, yes, even you. Thank you, thank you for that. So yeah, even you. This is going to affect you because Elon Musk. If you don't know anything about him, he owns SpaceX, Tesla, and a bunch of other business ventures. He is a billionaire, and a lot of his companies have large government contracts. So I'll talk more about that another time. But he has been given access to the United States of America's treasury system. So the U.S. Treasury is how we get paid. That's how you get paid. That's just how the country functions and operates. So I'll read to you what it says here. It says, with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, Dodge, gaining control of the Treasury Department's payment system, customer advocates and Democratic lawmakers are raising alarms about the group's access to the federal government's financial spigot, as well as I'm going to repeat, sensitive data such as the Social Security numbers of most taxpayers. Why would he want to have access to yours and my Social Security number and how all that works and how all that stuff goes together? Now, Dodge, all right, a Trump administration task force assigned to find ways to reduce federal spending, now has access to a Treasury unit called the Bureau of the Fiscal Service, which disperses trillions in payments each year, including Social Security checks and federal salaries, according to the Associated Press. Now, just me personally, when I see federal salaries, that, in my opinion, is how you're able to affect people's paychecks individually. So let's say, for instance, there's someone who works for the federal government and they're not a Trump supporter, or they're out here mouthing off, or they're out here protesting, or they're out here, trying to fight the power, as we say. Shout out to PE, Public Enemy. So having access to information like this means that you can do little unscrupulous things, unfair things, evil things to silence and hurt people. All right, that's how that normally goes. We have people who have positions of power who have access to information like this. It also goes on to say Musk's access to the payment system is raising concerns as it comes just days after the White House ordered a broad freeze on federal grants and loans, causing confusion within federal assistance programs at nonprofit and among Americans receiving government aid. That same day, state Medicaid programs said they were locked out of the Department of Health and Human Services system used to track and disperse money. That is huge. That is huge. That is big. Why is that? That is because They have the ability. You have. It's like the old saying, the rooster guarding the hen house, right? Or the wolf guarding the sheep. It's just not good. It's not good for you. It's not good for me. It does not matter what your political affiliation is. And I have to say that there have been a lot of, I don't want to know, are y'all Trump support, former Trump supporters? Thank you. That's right. Like you. Thank you. Thank you for that comment right there. People like that person right there who just said they no longer support Trump and they were part of MAGA, because this is not what they voted for. This is not what they voted for. And so having Elon Musk, who is a naturalized citizen, right? A naturalized citizen. I'm not going to get into that, but having him as a naturalized citizen in our federal government pay system, and he is friends with other world leaders, right? Or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you want to call it friendships. I don't want to know if maybe you can call it partnerships, associations. Who's to say that he's not out there giving away the secrets to how our government runs, right? So if you are a mega supporter, MAGA, right? Make America Great Again. How does that make America great again? Knowing that Trump is appointing people who are possibly doing the same thing that he did, which is taking national secrets and sort of just doing whatever with them, hooking people up, getting favors, stuff like that. So that's just on that note right there. So no, we didn't elect Elon Musk, and so there are so many things going on that it's almost head spinning. It's almost head spinning to keep up. But that's the point of it all, right? To throw spaghetti at the wall, and by the time you hear one story and you're shocked about that, there are several more that are even more shocking, that just causes you to want to just tune out sometimes. And so I do want to say this, that God is in control, right? That it took me some time to come to that realization. Not that God is not in control, but I will always say, yes, God is in control, but who wants to live with Pharaoh, right? God is in control, but who wants to live with Pharaoh? And so it doesn't end well for Mr. Trump at the end of the day. Those of us who believe that Jesus Christ is our personal Lord and Savior, like I do, we already know that what happens in the end is that we're going to win, right? So to the guy who was sworn in and refused to put his hand on the Bible, you know what? It doesn't look good for you in the end, my friend, because you are a leader, the most powerful leader in the world in terms of presidencies and headships and things of that nature. But he's just doing the darn thing, y'all. He's just doing the darn thing. Another thing he did, President Donald J. Trump imposes tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China. So he pulled back a little bit on that once he found out that some of this was not going to work in his favor, and that he was angering some of the members in his base, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, the stock market. The stock market took a nosedive when this began to happen. So, trade wars are never good for America, because at the end of the day, um, we end up paying for it, right? You end up paying for it, i.e., through higher prices. You end up paying for it, for example, when prices go up and business is slow because people begin to spend less because they have less, and all that goes hand in hand, right? Then it affects the job market. Remember, when President Biden left office, the economy was booming. It was booming. So you go and you start a trade war, right? You could have done this through policies. You could have done this a whole nother way if you felt as though the United States was getting ripped off. And so let's be honest. Let's be honest. I don't know that China is as big of a threat as, say, maybe Japan when it comes to stealing likenesses and businesses and things of that nature. But we could visit that. We could visit that and see. But there are different ways to do this. So for all you people who voted this man in and thought that it was going to be a great idea and that we were making America great again, no, you're making America a laughing stock in front of the whole world, because it appears as though we don't have stable leadership, we don't have competent leadership, and America is for sale. In other words, you might as well take a for sale sign and stick it in the yard of the White House and put it out there and say that America is for sale. because that's basically what's going on right now. Um, Elon Musk's access to Treasury payment systems is raising alarms. Here's what you need to know, right? I think I read that already. What I wanted to read to you, there are several things I'm going to get to, and thank you for sticking with me. I have several things I wanted, but I won't get to them all. Let's talk about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, done for is for U.S. workers and employees. There's been a lot of that in the news lately. People have been making jokes about it, um, and apparently, when Donald Trump signed this executive order, he did not realize that white women were the number one beneficiary of DEI hiring. Now, that is a long story for me to try to unpack, but it didn't start there with them. So I'll read what I have here. And it says that President Trump's executive order banning diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the U.S. government is renewing debate over what DEI is and whether it has benefited workers and companies. DEI has its roots in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which barred employment discrimination based on race, color, sex, religion, and other criteria. In the following decades, a range of policies have sought to root out bias in hiring, promote fairness in the workplace, and open career pathways for people of color and for women, while also expanding to include sexual orientation and gender identity. Why is that so important? Why is that so important? Because if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. When he did this, it was mainly aimed, let's just be honest, he thought that it was going to be directed more at people of color, right? I won't get into why I say that right now. But the perfect example of that is within hours of him signing that executive order, what did we see take place in Alabama with the Tuskegee Airmen and the video of the training that is done by the black airmen, right? So the black pilots when they pulled that film down, which was a training film, and then because of the backlash, they decided to put it back up. The Air Force said, "Oh, we didn't realize that." That's exactly what my example is, and explaining to you that that's what they thought that this was going to have that effect, where they'd be able to go in. Now, understand this: if they're able to go in and okay, let me back up, right? Because there's just so much to unpack, here. So let me go back and read this part. It barred employment discrimination based on race, color, sex, religion, and other criteria. What have you been seeing in the news when, especially in these Republican states where they have levers of power, right? What have you been seeing them doing? What did Donald Trump run on, right? Racism, right? So they want to know who's sleeping with who, right? Who's in your bedroom. So that is a discriminatory practice when they start banning or wanting to ban same-sex marriage and wanting to ban books they don't like from schools. When they're wanting to ban, it's in the air now, canceling MLK Day and Black History Month and things of that nature. That's what this does. It gives, with that executive order, his administration, the people who work within his administration, can try to go in and pinpoint and pick the different things and programs that they want to begin to pull funding from, begin to dismantle, and just pick it apart and pull it apart. That's the government at work, you all. And here's another category of people who fit in that area: veterans, handicapped people. So believe it or not, people used to discriminate against handicapped people, right? So yes, we hire people based on merit, right? We hire people based on their intelligence and their resumes and whether or not they're qualified. We do that, but we're moving backward into a place in a space where you can't really hold anybody accountable when they do that, when they do discriminate. That's what this is all about. Taking away the mechanisms, right, that the government has in place to hold people accountable when they do discriminate. So if you take away and you dismantle all the systems in the government to hold people accountable in these areas, then guess what? Guess what? That means that when your friends want to hook up their friends and they want to discriminate and things of that nature, and I don't want to hire that person because they're black. I don't want to hire that person because they're a woman. Here's another thing about women. Remember, you were trying to fight for equal pay. Forget that now. Who are you going to go to? Who are you going to cry to? The EEOC? That if they're getting any funding from the government, that's gone. And so if they push back, he's stacking the courts. So who are you pushing back against? Who are you pushing back to? So do you see how far backward the country is being taken by these policies and how they affect? And even if you don't think they're going to affect you, if you have children, if you have grandchildren, right? That's going to affect them for years to come and generations to come. Please understand this, right? Especially if you have mixed grandkids, right? One thing that I don't think people understand in most cases is that you might be a starch. How do I say this? You don't know who your kids are gonna love. All right. You don't know if your child, if your son, or if your daughter is going to turn out to be a gay or a lesbian. You don't know. You don't know if that's going to be your grandchild. You don't know if your child is going to want to marry someone who is white, black, polka dot, or whatever. Right? This is not gonna. What are you going to say to them when they find out that you are part of this? People who are watching this and you know that you're part of this administration. Come on, think about that for a second. Come on. Anyway, I'm going to get off of that for a while I can and move on to a couple of other things. Remember the rounding up of immigrants, illegal immigrants, right? Wanting to go around and round them up and militarize the border and things of that nature. Why would you do that, right? When you had a bill that both Republicans and Democrats worked hard on, right? While President Biden was in office. And remember, during the campaign season last year, that bill could have gone to Joe Biden's desk, but the House of Representatives, oh my gosh, what is his name? Mike, is it Mike Johnson from Alabama? I think that's his name. Remember, he wouldn't even bring it up to the floor so it could get voted on. That bill would have added extra officers on the border. It would have given some of these states like is it California, Arizona, some of these states, it would have given them more judges, right? Because when you catch people and they have to go through the system in the process, you have to have a place to house them, right? There were a lot of things. So this is not just about rounding people up and throwing them out. No, you had to have a system in place that dealt with them humanely, right? Treating them like people, right? Like God, like, remember, love thy neighbor? We're not one of the greatest commandments that Jesus said we should have. Love thy neighbor. No, love the Lord thy God, with all your heart. But what I'm saying is that love your neighbor. That's one of the commandments, right? So if you're loving your neighbor, that doesn't mean that you're going to always agree with them when things are wrong or when the law is broken, but you treat them humanely. And that's what this bill did. And that's what they debated about on the debate stage when Kamala Harris dismantled and tore Donald Trump up on that debate stage, right? That was one of the bills that we talked about. So rather than do that in a humane way, it was better for Donald Trump, to go and have the cameras there with Dr. Phil, whom I have no more respect for, right? To go in on these ride-alongs so they can go and videotape people being arrested and people being separated from their families, and this person broke the law, and now just that whole thing was nothing but theater. That's really all it is. Really all it is. Because the numbers stated that illegal immigrants crossing the border, it was down. So rather than try to militarize this whole thing and sensationalize this whole thing, all one had to do was go back and revisit that bipartisan bill that both Democrats and Republicans had worked on. But Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, who is still Speaker of the House, refused to bring that bill to the floor. One, because he knew it would pass, right? Because we haven't had a new immigration policy since Ronald Reagan. So he knew that it would pass because it was bipartisan, right? When you get things done bipartisanly, they're more likely to stand the test of time because both parties worked on it, right? But Donald Trump told him to kill it and not bring it to the floor because he wanted to use it as a campaign cry, whatever you want to call it. So, but yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying. I'm trying to, I don't think that I know more than anybody else, but I'm just trying to do my part and just trying to help, get some knowledge and information out here. That's all. That's all. So yeah, but yeah, Kamala Harris looking pretty good right about now, right? Yeah. So that's just one thing. I think I'm almost off of this. And so during this month of February, uh, some of these companies that decided to do away with DEI um, hiring practices. Now, if you're asking yourself why, right? I tried to surmise some of that earlier as to why, right? And so the reason why companies, and I'm not going to name them because I don't know them all, um, but the reason why I think Walmart is one, and I'm gonna have to take down my Walmart video that I have because people say don't shop there, but you know what, but they're absolutely right. So here's the thing, um, they did away with the practice because as a company, right? Remember, this is all about money. This is all about big business. They don't want to be on the bad side or the wrong side of Donald Trump, right? Because he's president now. So when he goes to, and it's coming, right? Because remember, I said he controls all levers of government. He controls the House of Representatives, he controls the Senate, and he's the president. So when it's time for him to do his tax cut, guess who's at the front of the line? The Walton family. That's right. Walmart. They want those big tax cuts. And you know what they did the last time those companies got those tax cuts? Y'all have a short memory because y'all put that man right back in office, right? They laid off a lot of people and they shut down a lot of their stores. Do y'all remember that? And then we had unemployment, right? And then not too long after that, within a year, whatever it was, then COVID hit, right? Then the country almost slipped into a depression. So it's beyond me. I know why you did it, right? Why you put him back in office? Because for one, let's just be honest. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. But anyway, I want to, but I gotta be careful. Um, I was sent this from a friend. We fight back, right? We fight back, and it says there's a February boycott. Amazon, Walmart, Target, McDonald's, Lowe's, um, DEI supporters are Costco and Aldi. And I've been seeing that, right? So I'm going to make a commitment to not shop at Amazon, Walmart, Target, get anything from McDonald's or Lowe's for the rest of the month. And I will go to Costco when I can. Or I might even just switch my membership over from Sam's Club to Costco. And there is an Aldi near me, so I may shop there. And I think I will. It's either there, there's a couple places, but yeah. But that's because veterans are affected by this because part of the DEI was that you got benefits from hiring veterans, you got benefits from hiring people with disabilities who are handicapped, right? Um, those areas, and most companies took pride in that, right? It wasn't just that they was checking the box to make sure they had veterans and things on there, but it was because it was earlier on these things were discriminatory practices. They were. So when you again, I'll have to go back through history, but I just don't want to do that right now because I don't want to get lost in the sauce, as they say. But that's part of what's going on. Is there anything else I wanted to cover? Trump administration drafting executive orders to initiate Department of Education's elimination, right? Dismantling the Department of Education. Now you see, you say, why would he do that? Why would he do that? Why? So that he and his minions can have control over how dollars are spent in our school systems, and again begin to play favorites with the money, right? Uh, if you're in an urban school, and depending on where you live, I don't even have to explain this. And depending on how you grew up, it's common sense, right? The poorer the neighborhood, most of the time, the poorer the schools. So if the state is getting money from the federal government to subsidize some of the things in that school, but then the federal government begins to pull those source resources from that particular community, guess what happens to those schools? Guess what happens to those students? Guess what happens to that community? Think about that for a second. right? Because where I live, uh, the governor wants to pull resources out of the public school system and give that money in form of vouchers directly to parents so that they can use that money to subsidize sending their kids to private schools. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but on a more localized scale. So um, that's bad. That's bad. And if who would think that the word woke would be something that people would gravitate toward to and think that that would be a bad thing. The opposite of woke is sleep. So you know what? Yes, I am woke because I'm not sleep. I haven't been asleep for years when it comes to that because this is what I do. And again, for the hundreds of thousands of you who watch me, who listen to me on the radio, shout out, please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. And please share. My radio show is called Real Gospel with the X-Man. I'm known as a super producer. I have produced over 30 different shows, from money shows to sports shows to talk shows to health shows to you name it. My show is a gospel show, but I also produce a talk show called What's the 411 Sharon K. And so we talk about everything, including the things that we're talking about here. But this platform right here is a little more new to me because uh, this is where God wants me to have this space. So for those of you who've been joining me, thank you so very much. I just thought I'd share some of this. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate you for saying that. Yeah, I'm just trying. If you're a mega supporter, and I've been hearing a lot from a lot of you all have buyer's remorse. This is real. This is real. The price of eggs, if you can find eggs, through the roof. This is not going to get better, you all. It's not going to get better, right? Because Donald Trump does not care about you all. He doesn't care about you all. The only thing he cares about is enriching his coffers and doing things that are so outrageous and putting people in places of authority that you spend more time worrying about what they're doing so that you can't keep up with the things that he's doing. Remember this now. Um, when he travels, right? Most of the time, if he can go his spend the night or wherever he's staying at, especially when he goes overseas, if he can find one of his properties, one of his Trump properties to stay in, then he's able to charge the Secret Service fees for staying in his property, right? He charged them he charged them astronomical fees for staying in his property. That along comes with the food, and then when other leaders come to visit him, especially if they're coming to visit him at one of his properties, they're probably giving him gifts, and he's probably charging them as well. So the big grift is on, everybody. The big grift is on, and guess who's paying for it? Yeah, you are. I am. So mega supporters, make America great again. Guess what? You're paying for it. But let me ask you this: what are you getting in return? What are you getting in return? Huh? Can you go buy some eggs right now? Huh? The price of gas is going up. When he gets a chance to push his next set of tax cuts through, guess what? That's not going to help you. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. When these huge companies get their money, they're going to start downsizing, right? They're going to start downsizing and making cuts, right? Because they did it before, right? They start laying people off, right? Then they start eliminating jobs, right? They start bringing in technology, right? Investing in that. And then your job is not coming back. So you've been on the job 10, 15 years, and all of a sudden your job gets cut. And then, by the way, if you work for the federal government, that was another thing that he did with those federal employees, trying to get them to quit, trying to get them to do a buyout when he know you can't do that. But it sends a chilling effect because you work for the federal government, right? And he is the head as president of the United States. He is head of the executive branch, right? So if you make an example out of somebody, right, then it sends a chilling effect to everyone else who is an employee. And your only course of action to get any kind of relief, if you feel as though you've been mistreated unfairly, or if you feel like you've been fired unfairly, or if you feel like what they're doing to you is unjust or unfair, remember, he just dismantled, he just put out an executive order that DEI hires is no longer accepted. And so all the funding and all the people who are over those agencies are the very people you would have to go to make sure that you're not getting screwed. So if you voted for him and that happens to you, good luck, right? The rest of us, at least we have the satisfaction of knowing that we told you so, right? Right? We told you so. So there it is, my friends. There it is. I just wanted to share that to you, with you, I should say. I am on my way. Anyway, I'm not gonna tell you, but I'll be back when I have more to share in terms of this. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing on this platform. This is just one of the things that I do, right? So you'll see different posts about various topics and various issues from time to time on my social media platforms. Please. I do multiple interviews with celebrities and movers and shakers. So you definitely want to like and subscribe because I never know who I may interview. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I schedule things in advance. I have an interview coming up tomorrow. Can't tell you with who, but I'll drop it when I get a chance because right now as a super producer, I do a lot of my editing and things myself because I don't have a team of people that I can just give it to at the moment. I have a lot of things coming down the pipe that you're definitely going to enjoy. But anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope that you really got something out of some of the things that I said, and we've got to keep our heads on a swivel, everybody. We've got to keep our heads on a swivel, and we have got to use our voices and use our platforms wherever they are to begin to speak truth to power and not allow this big grift to continue to go on while we just say, well, I don't care. That's what he wants you to do, to say that you don't care, to say that you tired of it, to say that, oh man, I don't pay attention to politics. They're going to do what they want to do. That's what he's counting on. That's what they're all counting on, for you to just be, disincentivized and not pay attention, right? We want to pray and we trust God, but we also know that faith without works is dead.